More Russian sanctions coming. This is on the heels of the Geneva summit between Putin and Biden. The White House noted that they're preparing a new package of Russia sanctions due to the Navalny situation. So just a quick recap. I don't want to go too long on it, but Navalny is I don't know, he's a pseudo-political character there, and was an anti-corruption journalist, I guess. I don't know. I think now he's kind of moved into other stuff. But anyways, he violated some election laws, I guess, and some finance laws. So he would been sentenced, and he was out of jail on probation, or parole would be, I guess, our term in the U.S. He since potentially was poisoned. There's a lot of questions about that. I won't get into any of that stuff. But anyways, he ended up violating his parole, going back to Russia. Now he's in jail in Russia because of that parole violation, right? So United States and other countries have taken umbrage to that. They feel, for whatever reason, Navalny should be free and this and that. I'm sure there's a lot of folks around the world that should be free. And, in my opinion, I'm a little cynical about it. I think it's just a geopolitical tool. I don't think the U.S. really cares about Navalny. They're just using him, unfortunately, to impose more sanctions on Russia. But anyway, so getting back to the article here, that quick aside, kind of a recap on what has happened. They're preparing another. This is from Jake Sullivan, who is the Biden administration the National Security Advisor. He stated, "We're preparing another package of sanctions to apply in this case. We've shown all along the way that we're not going to pull our punches in regards to dealing with Russia." So the first round of Navalny-related sanctions, which were released, I think, last year. I'd have to double check on the date. But anyways, they were essentially targeted at the director and I think some other personnel within the FSB, the Russian security agency. Essentially, would be the equivalent of like the FBI in the United States. So they sanctioned those individuals and some aspects of the FSB. Now looks like they're preparing a wider scope of those sanctions. Let's see. The article mentions, since the summit, there's been increased pressure on the Biden White House to take a more aggressive stance on human rights in Russia. I believe that's true. I think that it's to the U.S. and I think the world's detriment that we're going to continue sanctioning Russia, unfortunately. U.S. trade has dropped tremendously with Russia. I think it's half of what it was 10 years ago. I'd have to double check. And I'll probably put something up to either prove or disprove me wrong on the screen here. But either way, it's dropped a ton. And really, we're getting to a point where Russian-U.S. trade will just almost be nothing statistically on a global scale. It will just be non-existent. There's not going to be a lot of trade, unfortunately. And really, what that's going to do is it's going to prevent people from traveling between the countries. It's going to prevent goods from traveling and ideas from traveling. So it's just not a good thing that we're putting up more barriers at this point. So let's see, last comment here, or last point I wanted to mention. These new Navalny-related sanctions appear geared towards appeasing Russia hawks on both sides of the aisle, who remain frustrated by how things went in Geneva. Again, I think that's true. I think there are aspects and individuals in our U.S. government that have a very hawkish stance on Russia and feel like they can bully or push around, the Russian government or Russian policies. Not a good thing. We'll keep an eye on this, and as soon as they're announced, obviously we'll do another video. We'll probably write an article updating our clients on these sanctions and how we can help you avoid any, running into any problems. Hopefully they'll be targeted. I imagine that's the case. They're going to be targeted on more individuals in the Putin administration and the Russian government. Potentially it could widen into other sectoral sanctions, which is sanctioning a certain section of an industry or a certain area of an economy. That was the case in the sanctions a couple years back, I think 2017 or so, on Russia that sanctioned their oil industry, or oil and gas industry. That was also the case with the Nord Stream sectoral sanctions in that project. So that's the case. I would expect some sanctions to appear in the next 30 to 60 days. I don't think the U.S. government's bluffing. I think they probably have something already in the works that they're going to release. Whether it's going to be effective, I doubt it. Just like most of our sanctions are not effective, and that's true historically as well. So yeah, that's just, I saw that the other day, and it just totally flabbergasted that we're moving into more sanctions, and I think it's silly. We'll keep everyone appraised of the situation. Obviously, that's our jobs here at Reidel Law Firm. And if you are doing trade internationally, if you feel like you have to tiptoe around sanctions, or you want to get more information about how to do business in countries that may be struggling with sanctions or have sanctions imposed, call Reidel Law Firm. Call me. That's what I do every day. Let's walk through how your business can avoid sanctions and avoid compliance issues and breaking the law. Let's find out how we can make sure that you remain prosperous, successful, and can maintain business ties across the world. So again, this is Reidel Law Firm on Odyssey. Check out more information in the description below about how to reach us, and we'll see you next time.